This is Chapter 7, Auditing, Testing, and Monitoring, Part 1, Security Auditing and Analysis. Here are the Chapter 7 topics. I'll leave it here for a few seconds so you can read them. Here are the Chapter 7 goals. Here are the key concepts: the role of an audit in effective security baselining and gap analysis, the importance of monitoring systems throughout the IT infrastructure, penetration testing and ethical hacking to help mitigate the gaps, security logs for normal and abnormal traffic patterns and digital signatures, and security countermeasures of auditing, testing, and monitoring test results. The purpose of a security audit: make sure your systems and security controls work as expected. You need to check for the following. Are security policies sound and appropriate for business or activity? Remember that information security's purpose is to support the mission of business and protect it from risks it faces. Are there controls supporting your policies? Are they aligned with your organization's strategies and mission? Is there effective implementation and upkeep of controls? Security controls address risk. Security controls place limits on activities that might pose a risk to your organization. Security review must include the following: monitor, review, and measure all controls to capture actions and changes on the system. Audit, review logs and overall environment to provide independent analysis of how well controls work. Improve, proposals to improve the security program and controls in the audit results. And secure, ensure that controls work and protect the intended level of security. So here's the security cycle in an image. How do you know that implemented security measures are actually effective? You want to monitor and audit them. How can you be confident that access controls adequately deny unauthorized activity? Again, you want to monitor and audit them and then improve them if necessary. A security assessment validates that established mechanisms perform as intended. Security controls address risk, and you need to ensure each security control is necessary and effective, that each control must protect your organization from a specific threat. You need a control without an identified threat is a layer of overhead that doesn't make you any more secure. It wastes resources. Don't use a control that costs more than the potential loss if a threat is realized. Determining what's acceptable. The first step in putting the right security controls in place is to determine what actions are acceptable. Your organization's security policy should define acceptable and unacceptable activities. Your organization might create its own standards based on those developed or endorsed by standards bodies. Communications and other actions permitted by a policy document are acceptable. Communications and other actions specifically banned in your security policy are unacceptable. Permission levels. The proper permission level for your organization depends on your organization's needs and policies. You must match your organization's required permission level with its security structure. Common permission levels are promiscuous, everything is allowed, this is most suitable for home users. Permissive, anything not specifically prohibited is okay. This is most suitable for public internet sites, some schools, and libraries. Prudent, a reasonable list of things is permitted, all others are prohibited. This permission level is suitable for most businesses. And what's sometimes called paranoid, very few things are permitted, all others are prohibited and carefully monitored. This permission level is suitable for secure facilities. Areas of security audits. They can be very large in scope and cover entire departments or business functions, or can be narrow and address only one specific system or control. Audit provides management independent assessment of whether best controls are in place and how well they work. High-level policy audit is a review of your security policy to ensure it's up to date, relevant, communicated, and enforced. It helps ensure that the policy reflects the culture of your organization. You must also audit all your organization's firewalls, routers, gateways, wireless access points, and other network devices to ensure that they function as intended. The purpose of audits. An audit checks whether controls are appropriate, is a level of security control suitable for the risk it addresses, installed correctly, is the security control in the right place and working well, addressing their purpose, is the security control effective in addressing the risk it was designed to address. Federal laws or vendor standards might require external or internal audits. A law is Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, for banking, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, for health facilities like hospitals and doctors' offices. But an industry standard, which is not a law, is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, which if you want to take credit cards, it would be advisable to adhere to this. Uh, if you lose this kind of certification, you may not be able to take certain types of credit cards in your business. Customer confidence. Customers will generally do business only with organizations they trust. If they know you consistently audit your systems for security, they may be more willing to share their sensitive information with you. Auditing standards exist to build customer confidence. Auditing Standards Board of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, AICPA, issued Statement on Auditing Standards number 70, SAS 70 in 1993, the first standard of its kind, and provided audit guidance for many service organizations such as insurance and medical claims processors, telecommunications providers, and credit card transaction processing companies. Defining your audit plan. Audit plan benchmarks. Auditor must first define the objectives and determine which systems or business processes to review. The auditor must also define which areas of assurance to check. The auditor must identify the personnel, both from, that should be from, not form, his or her team, and from the organization being audited, who will participate. Defining scope of the plan. The auditor must define the boundaries of the review at the beginning of the project. Determine which areas will be evaluated and which will not. All systems and networks must have a clearly designated owner. What you can expect from an auditor throughout the planning and execution phases. Survey the site. The auditor will want to understand the environment and interconnections between systems. Review the documentation. Review system documentation and configurations both during planning and as part of an actual audit. Review risk analysis output. We'll want to understand the system criticality rating that are part of the risk analysis studies. Review host logs, the objectives, and determine which systems or business processes to review. And review incident logs. One more, review the results of penetration tests. Benchmarks. The standard by which your system is compared to determine whether it is securely configured. One technique is to compare the current setting of a computer or decide with the benchmark to identify differences. Your organization may have formally adopted one of the following examples. It may be true, especially if your organization is subject to government regulation or legislation. If so, the benchmark directs the main course of your audit. And the examples of different types of benchmarks, the ISO 27002 is the best practices document that gives good guidelines for information security management. NIST Special Publication 800 series. The NIST SP 800-37 is a standard published by the U.S. government for computer systems that the government owns or operates. ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, a set of concepts and policies for managing IT infrastructure. Other benchmarks. Other organizations such as ISACA and the Institute of Internal Auditors have developed commonly used guidelines such as COBIT, the Control Objectives for Information-Related Technology, set of best practices for IT management. COSO, the Institute of Internal Auditors, produces a committee of sponsoring organizations of the Treadway Commission. It's volunteer run and gives guidance to executive management and governance entities on critical aspects of organizational governance, business ethics, and internal control. Unless the law prohibits it, organizations are free to choose whatever audit methods make the most sense to them. And that is the end of part one. Part two consists of audit data collection methods and security monitoring.